There are few things more exciting than heist movies. There's the intricate planning, the hours spent casing the joint, and the slick black outfits and fast cars. And then, of course, the getaway, the most thrilling part. Movies like Baby Driver, Drive, and Ocean's 11 have shown the world how exhilarating fictional heists can be. But truth can be even more exciting than fiction. That's why today we're going to take a look at one of the most elaborate heists in history, the Antwerp Diamond Heist. The Antwerp Diamond District, also known as the Diamond Quarter, is a 1 square mile area in downtown Antwerp, Belgium, which is the diamond capital of the world. 80% of the world's diamonds pass through Antwerp to be polished, incorporated into jewelry, and inevitably sold. As of 2017, the single square mile contains 1,600 diamond dealers and employs 30,000 people, many of whom work in the Antwerp World Diamond Center. The Antwerp World Diamond Center serves as a main hub where many diamond dealers, polishers, and merchants are able to set up shop. Underneath the building are safety deposit boxes and highly secure vaults where business owners are able to store their precious goods. And for years, business owners felt fairly confident storing their diamonds in the building. In the district alone, there are 24-hour cameras present on every street corner, balcony, and business. If someone were able to slip past the cameras and dash away with a bag full of diamonds, a single button is able to trigger steel barriers which rise up from the streets, closing the perimeter so no cars can escape the area. And then there's the security inside the building. The Antwerp Diamond Center had a vault which was located 2 stories underground and had not 1, not 2, but 10 different security measures to ensure the diamonds, silver, and other valuables were fully protected. The vault featured an impressive external security camera. The first door of the vault was a 3-ton solid steel door that was created to withstand up to 12 hours of continuous drilling. And on the exterior of that beast of a door, there was a combination dial that had 100 million possible combinations, making it almost impossible for anyone to guess the correct code. Beside the combination dial was a key lock, which was said to only be able to be opened with a special key that was unable to be duplicated. If some strangers still tried to open the door with force, they'd be instantly caught because a seismic alarm would trigger at the slightest vibration of the door frame. If the door was opened, a magnetic sensor would set off an alarm, alerting people that the vault has been compromised. And that would normally seem like enough security, wouldn't you say? Well, the Antwerp World Diamond Center didn't think so, because that isn't even half of it. Beyond the first 3-ton door, there was a steel grate, which required yet another key to open. And if you somehow managed to get through all of those security measures, you had to next face the cameras and sensors. An internal security camera ran 24 hours a day. A light sensor was triggered to go off if any light was present in the room, including flashlights. So, if you did manage to get inside, you would have to do so in the complete darkness. Oh, and you'd also have to somehow not radiate any body heat, because a heat and motion alarm was set to go off if any person entered the room. All of those security measures were so powerful and deemed so secure that the building didn't even have a 24-hour security guard on the floor to monitor. I mean, why would they even need one? They had hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of state-of-the-art security equipment in a building in a district that happens to be one of the most heavily monitored in the world. That is precisely why, in the early morning hours of Monday, February 17, 2003, concierge Jorge Dia de Suiza was so shocked to stroll into the vault and find the lights on and millions of dollars worth of goods strewn on the floor and all the safety deposit boxes wide open, with over $100 million worth of gems and jewelry gone. But how had this happened? Police were left scratching their heads for several days. It was a near-perfect heist, with no immediate evidence at the scene of the crime, no security footage, and no leads. Well, that is until a hunter found a pile of litter in the woods that included a salami sandwich, abandoned footage, and envelopes that would lead the investigators to the ringleader of the elaborate crime, Leonardo Notarbartolo. Leonardo Notarbartolo got his start in crime at a very young age, when he stole $8 from his local milkman at 6 years old. By the year 2000, Leonardo had spent quite a few years perfecting his craft, and he was ready for the next step. He rented an office space in the Antwerp World Diamond Center 3 years before the heist took place, and used those 3 years to gain the trust of the other individuals working there. He posed as an Italian diamond trader, a role that gave him access via a special keycard to the tower levels where the vaults were located. This also gave him insider knowledge of the building, which he certainly used to his advantage. Photography and videography was strictly forbidden in the building for obvious reasons, but that didn't stop Leonardo. He started accessing the vault and assessing the building using a camera hidden in the cap of a pen, which he wore in the front of his suit. No one suspected a thing, and since he was a well-liked businessman in the building, no one watched him too carefully. Leonardo managed to rig a small camera on the ceiling outside of the vault, which was used to record the code guards entered to bypass the first layer of security. This camera transferred that data to an average-looking fire extinguisher nearby, which actually housed a sensor hidden inside a secret compartment. That way, Leonardo could get the data quickly and easily without arousing any suspicion. Over the course of the next several weeks, Leonardo recorded the inside of the vault, picking up on every camera, every sensor, and every dimension of the room. In fact, Leonardo collected so much data that he and his four-man team were able to create an exact replica of the vault to practice in. At least, that's what Leonardo says. Although, I must say, I am prone to believe him, because I can't imagine how else they would be able to manage pulling off something of this scale. The day prior to the heist, Leonardo accessed his safety deposit box as usual. Once inside the vault, he sprayed the thermal and motion sensor camera with woman's hairspray, which rendered it useless. It's hard to imagine a $2 can of product could cripple a highly scientific, allegedly foolproof sensor, but it would work just long enough for them to get into the room and fully dismantle the sensors. When it came time for the actual heist, as the brains of the operation, Leonardo stayed behind in the getaway car, listening to a police scanner to ensure that they were safe from detection. The other four team members, known as Speedy, the Monster, the Genius, and the King of Keys, accessed the building in a rather unusual way. The King unlocked a nearby abandoned office building that shared a private garden with the Diamond Center. This garden was below a small balcony within the Diamond Center, which the group reached using a ladder that they had hidden on the property days earlier. However, once they arrived on the balcony, they were faced with an infrared sensor. Fortunately, Genius came prepared, using a homemade polyester shield that hid his thermal signature. He crept forward and then placed the shield directly in front of the sensor, allowing the entire group to pass by undetected. He then disabled an alarm on the windows, allowing them to enter the building. Then they gained access to the vault levels using the 24-hour card Leonardo had been provided with upon renting the office space in the building. Once at the vault, Genius used yet another homemade shield, this time made of aluminum, in order to disable the magnetic sensor on the vault. They already had the code to access the vault, but the key was their next step. Prior to the heist, the King of Keys had used the video footage to make a duplicate of the large key, and even after going through all the efforts to make it, the team never had to use it. Instead, they walked to the nearby unlocked utility room, which they had noticed guards entered before going into the vault, and they found the original vault key sitting right there. After all those security measures, the induplicatable key had just been duplicated and easily taken from an unlocked closet. The team turned off the lights in the hallway before the real fun began. In the darkness, the King of Keys picked the next gate. Once fully inside, the monster moved forward in the pitch black, lifted up a ceiling panel, and was able to disable all the sensors in the room by stripping away the system wire's plastic coating and rerouting the circuit to an exposed wire instead. Heat sensors were then covered with styrofoam boxes, and the remaining light sensor was coated in black tape just as an extra precaution. The team then got to work unlocking the security boxes using a hand crank drill. The diamonds, silver, and jewelry were then dumped into duffel bags. By 5:30 a.m., the team had successfully filled their duffel bags with $100 million worth of valuables. They deposited the duffel bags in Leonardo's car and then walked on foot to meet him at an apartment. It was, by all accounts, a masterful plan. They left no DNA evidence, no footage, and the police had absolutely no idea how they managed to pull it off. So, how did they get caught? Well, frankly, one of them lost their cool, while the other members of the group transported their new riches to Italy. Leonardo and Speedy planned to burn all the trash that had connected them to the crime in France. However, Speedy had another plan. Speedy was overcome with a panic attack before they had even left Belgium, while Leonardo walked deeper into the remote woods to find a good place to burn their rubbish. Speedy stood by the car, dumping the evidence into the woods. Security footage hung from trees like a Christmas garland. Diamonds littered the mud. Receipts receipts for the tools they had used were scattered across the ground like confetti. Speedy had lost it, and Leonardo knew there wasn't much they could do. He ordered Speedy back in the car and decided it was just best to leave the scene. After all, who would find their trash in such a remote location, and who would ever call the police about it? Unfortunately for them, there was someone who had a knack for calling the police about trash. August Van Camp owned those few acres where they had dumped their trash. Teenagers frequently threw parties on the remote stretch of land, which infuriated Van Camp. Him calling the police about trash was a regular occurrence, something the police handled by rolling their eyes and promising to look into it, even though they wouldn't. But when Van Camp called about finding envelopes from Antwerp Diamond Center, the police were there in a matter of minutes. The evidence linked them straight to Leonardo, and, like a true crime boss, he did not reveal his accomplices' identities. And though he never revealed his accomplices, the evidence led police directly to them. Leonardo was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Speedy, whose real name was Pietro Tavano, was sentenced to 5. Elio Dionorio, the genius, and Ferdinando Finotto, the monster, were both sentenced to 5 years as well. The only person who has not been apprehended is the King of Keys. To this day, the $100 million worth of valuables has not been recovered, and the Antwerp Diamond Heist remains the largest diamond heist in history and one of the biggest robberies of all time. So, there you have it, the Antwerp Diamond Heist. What would you do with $100 million worth of diamonds? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, I'm Mr. Luxury. If you don't mind me, I'm gonna go watch a few James Bond movies. As always, pip pip to doodly doo.